Oh my God. Sorry, my notifications keep going off.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
With my computer, I was looking.
I thought it was my computer. I was looking around like, what? Are we live?
We're live.
Yay.
Okay, I had to mute myself. Oh, yeah. Oh, there we go. One day this will be smooth. One day.
It was smooth last time.
It did.
Did it?
Yeah.
It did.
Oh.
We were on time. Everything was good. Everything was together. But we're back on CP time now. Hey.
That must have been a first for us.
We were.
Okay, I got myself muted. We good now. We good.
Okay.
Hi, everyone who's in the chat.
I sent the link to it on Twitter.
Nice.
If y'all heard that ambulance, I'm sorry. I live in the medical center.
It's totally fine. I'm going to put a little thing on Instagram. Hi, guys. Come join us, the girls of A Seat at the Table Book Club. We are live discussing Again But Better by Christine Riccio and our reread or attempt of a reread at Twilight. Alrighty. Sorry, I just got off of work, so all of this that should have been done beforehand was not done.
Yeah, I just got finished working out and came home, took a shower, forgetting all about this. So this is why I look the way that I look today.
OhSheReads just out doing us today.
Basically.
I can't believe that y'all forgot when we clearly discussed this.
It's not.
Well, you know what? This happened again because when we did our unpopular opinions and you were like, oh, let's go live. I was like, wait, what? Live?
This is a live? What's going on? I can't with y'all.
Okay, so what are we discussing first? We're discussing
Again But Better.
Again But Better first, which I am the only person who read full out.
You know,
so Brittany, do not get an attitude about Twilight.
I would just like to give
not Twilight in this.
Hey, I read it last month. That should count.
Reading this book and Twilight at the same time is a special type of hell that I wouldn't wish on anyone.
Oh my God.
Like,
I'm sorry, that's
oh, should I already start?
You know what?
You just starting right off.
That does not mean that this book was bad. That does not mean that this book was bad.
Okay, if you say so.
Okay, OhSheReads, you want to start off? Do you have any questions for me since you haven't finished? Like, what happens?
Here we go.
Is the man back?
Teddy!
Is that creepy man back?
Oh my God. Hold on.
Every live.
Like, you know, that dude is creepy. I'm here for it.
Okay, calm down. It's okay. I know. It's not that man. It's another dog. There we go. You're getting all tangled up. It's okay. Hold on 1 second, guys.
What is alive without OhSheReads' dog coming into the scene?
It really isn't. If he's not by somebody putting out business, it's not alive.
Not alive.
Oh my goodness. That was way too dramatic. Teddy.
This is how he makes it known that he's here.
He has no respect for any of this. Okay. Anyways.
Okay, but yes, do you have any questions? Because Brittany said she was going to ask all the questions.
I have questions. So first,
good.
What was your overall rating of the book?
Okay.
Out of 5. Like, we're doing a Goodreads rating.
Okay, Goodreads rating, mine was 3.
3? From what so I will just give a disclaimer. I have not finished reading the book. I'm about halfway through. And I go in and I'm struggling with it because I go in and out of moments of like being really, really bored and then really, really enjoying the book. So it's like there's scenes that I really enjoy and I'm able to get lost in the story and I'm like, oh, I'm liking this. And then something will happen that will kind of like take me out of it. And
what I will say is, and I put this in my review, is that I think the reason it was so hard for me to get into it was because there's like two climaxes to this book. It's like first of all, if you have not read Again But Better and you want to read Again But Better, you should probably get off of this live because this is going to
be full of spoilers.
So that's my disclaimer. The first half of the book is like them traveling all around Europe and everything.
Yeah.
And the first climax is her parents finding out that she lied to them about her study abroad. And then
let's give more of a backstory, because for those that don't know anything
about Again But Better.
Yeah. Like, what is going on? Troy, go.
So basically, Again But Better is about a girl. What was her name? Shane. Wow. It was about Shane, who goes off to do a study abroad, but she lies to her parents and tells them it's a pre-med program, but she's actually studying creative writing. And while she's there, she makes friends, meets a boy, and then it's Again But Better because there's magical realism towards the end of the book. And when I say end, I mean the end of the book. Like,
I will add that the whole kind of plot in the book is that Shane is supposedly this very shy, introverted girl who spent most of her college years while she was attending college in New York in her dorm room, just reading books, not making friends, not going out, not really having that typical college experience. So she decides that she's going to go do the study abroad program twofold. One, because her parents have kind of bullied her to this like pre-med track, and she doesn't really want to do that. She loves writing. She wants to be a writer. So she's using it as an opportunity to kind of like buck her parents' expectations and do what she wants. And also, Again But Better, in the sense that she wants to do over college. She wants to use this as an experience to make friends, like become more outgoing, and like she makes a whole list while she's on the plane on the way over to the United Kingdom. And the list is like, she's never kissed a boy. She's never had a romantic relationship. She's never even held hands with a boy, anything like that. And she goes through a lot of bullying from her family. She comes from like this big Italian family, and it's all boy cousins and her, and they keep bullying her. So because she's never, well, they sound like assholes, honestly, to be honest with you, but they bully her a lot about never having any romantic situations. And I think she's like, what, in her early 20s?
Yeah, she's like 20 exactly.
Okay, so that's one of her goals. So she makes this whole list while she's on the plane where it's like, kiss a boy, like get a boyfriend, like make friends, like all these things that she did not do while she was in college in New York. She wants to recreate her college experience. So that's one where the title of the book.
Again But Better, yeah.
Right. The title makes sense now.
Mm-hmm. Right. So my issues right from the get-go is that, I mean, if you guys have watched these review videos, a lot of what other people have said is that the self-insertion in this book is so extreme that it was actually distracting. Like, the girl was literally Christine's clone. Like, I mean, Christine in real life. And granted, we do not know Christine. We only know her online personality. So first of all, let's give a disclaimer. This book was written by booktuber Christine Riccio, who on this platform, in our little community of booktube, I believe she has the most subscribers, right?
I think so, yeah.
She's the biggest booktuber. So first off, I want to start off, and I'm sure you guys agree.
I'm sorry.
What's wrong with you?
I'm sorry.
You know how these things are.
No, you definitely need to give a disclaimer. It's like,
it's a shame that this disclaimer has to even be put out, because people are mad when truth are spoken, because you're just supposed to blind follow people.
But you have over 300,000 subscribers. I'm not playing those games with 300,000 of y'all.
I do not think that we should have to give a disclaimer for giving an honest review.
But okay, OhSheReads probably should, because OhSheReads is like the big bully that bullied Sasha. So you should probably give your disclaimer.
Girl who hates humans. So you can go ahead and give your disclaimer. But I'm just letting anybody watching this know, come for me if you want to. You'll be embarrassed, not me.
Ooh, all right.
Ooh, child.
Ooh, child. Okay, so disclaimer. I actually really like Christine. I actually am a subscriber of hers. I've subscribed to her. She has 2 channels for those that are unaware, but I've been subscribed to her since like almost the beginning of her channel, like way back in the day. I'm talking like 2000, I don't even remember, like 2000, I want to say 2010, 11, 9, something like that. Back then, when she first started, I have been a longtime supporter, and I was actually very excited for her to write a book. I have been following her writing journey. She's been making writing blogs for 2 years, and I have watched most of them. So congratulations to her. Writing a book is a huge accomplishment. It's a New York Times bestseller. Get your coin, sis. One day I hope to be in your position. Moving on. Okay. So that's the disclaimer. This is not a hate video. We do not hate Christine. We actually, well, I can only speak for myself. I actually like her. I enjoy her content.
I enjoy watching her videos, but that doesn't change the fact that if you don't write good, I'm not going to be quiet because I watch you on YouTube.
Brittany always here with the truth. But let me continue on. The self-insertion in this book, and like I said, we do not know Christine personally, which is why nobody should take this review personally, because none of us know this girl, unless out of the people that are actually friends with her in real life, the rest of us, we do not know her. We know her online personality, and we know what she's shown us in her videos over the years. But to say that we know her would be a stretch. But of what we know of her, the self-insertion in the book was distracting for me. For example, Christine's YouTube channel, one of her YouTube channels is Poland Banana Books. We all know this. It's kind of a weird name. Like, it's not something that you forget. Shane has a blog. Shane, the main character, has a blog, and in the book, the blog is called Watermelon. What is it? Toast?
French Watermelon 19.
French Watermelon 19. So
Yeah.
that was just kind of like, oh dear. Another issue that I had was the level of pop culture references.
Oh my God, it was so much. Wait, okay, did you listen to the audiobook?
No, I couldn't do it.
Okay, so let me tell you my issue with the audiobook real quick. This doesn't really have anything to do with the book itself, but the narration of it. So I was listening to the narration, and like 100 times in this book, there's pop culture references to remind you that you were in 2011. And what comes with that are songs from 2011, right?
Oh no.
If the narrator just never has heard any of these songs, but it was like maybe 2 songs she actually knew, and when she would like read off the lyrics from the book,
yeah,
right? But then like every other song, I was just like, oh, this woman has never heard this song ever in her life because this sounds so weird. And then I just didn't like the audiobook like in a general sense, because the way she spoke for pilot, it was literally like this. Hey guys, like, so you want to go out? I'm just like, I can't. Please just stop. Please. It was so, I really like, okay, there's this movie called, it's like Matthew McConaughey's most famous movie, you know, Dazed and Confused. Reminds me of Dazed and Confused. I could not deal with it.
Oh, no, I can't.
I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't. It was so bad. And I was just like, okay, I can't. The pop culture references were a little bit much. I feel like if I already knew it was in 2011, I didn't really need the over exaggeration of telling me this was, you know, like for instance, she kept on talking about how when the time travel happened, she kept on mentioning, oh, Wrecking Ball isn't even out yet. And I was like, I get it. I know Miley Cyrus has not written the song yet. It doesn't come out for a very long time. She started mentioning how Game of Thrones isn't out yet. And I'm just like, I know you're in 2011. Okay, I get it. You don't have to repeat. You just time traveled. I know you time traveled 6 years prior. Like, I get it. It was just a little bit much. Kind of like I watch Gilmore Girls, and there's a lot of pop culture references, but it's not particular to the time they're in. You know, they'll do references from, you know, the 80s, the 90s, and sometimes even go further back than that. So I just feel like if maybe the pop culture references would have been spread out a little bit more and not specific to 2011, then I wouldn't have had so much of a problem with it. But it was a little too much for me. Like, just too much.
I do think that it has a lot to do with the writing, right? I remember taking writing classes, and all of my writing teachers always said, when you're writing fiction, unless you're writing a very specific type of fiction that's very niche, to not pinpoint your story in a specific time in the sense that you're going to be including all of these like real-time things that happened during that time, unless you're writing historical fiction or you're writing a book like I'm trying to think of the name. Enders, what was the name of that book that had all the pop culture references, that was really big a couple years ago, and they made it into a movie recently? I cannot remember the name.
The Perks of Being a Wallflower?
No, not that book. It had something to do with like, did it have something to do with video games?
Ready Player One?
Yes, thank you. So that book was inundated, but it was written in a very particular style. The way it was written and the way it was crafted, it made sense, and that was the point of the book. So I remember my writing teachers were always saying, like, if you're just writing like a straightforward story, you never want to inundate it with pop culture references to the point where it actually ends up dating the book, and it makes it it makes it so that the story is not timeless. Like if someone picks up this book in 100 years, they're going to be confused, not because we're talking about specific world events that happen that are like historical, but you're talking about such like to the moment pop culture references that it actually makes the book dated, and it can no longer be enjoyed by somebody in like 50 to 100 years because it's just too specific to the time period that you put it in. So
writing teachers.
So that was part of my issue.
I didn't even hear what she said.
Wait, what'd you say, Britt?
I said you had amazing writing teachers, clearly.
Oh.
They were great. And then, so that was my issue. My second issue is right out the gate, you describe this character, Shane, our main protagonist, as being shy, introverted. Almost like the way she was described, it kind of made me feel like she had social anxiety, or at least she was just very introverted. She gets on the plane, she makes a list, she literally lands in the UK. Within 2 seconds, homegirl has transformed into this extroverted, people-loving, hey, hi, I'm going to talk to this person. I'm going to make friends with this person. Oh, I like a boy. I was like, it's been 2 pages. No internal struggle with her social anxiety. No, like, character development. Like, it just went boom, boom. Like, literally within a matter of pages, she just, like, transformed into this other character. And there'd be, like, one sentence here and there of, like, oh, should I say something to her? I'm shy. Okay, here I am saying something to her. I'm not that shy. And I'm like, what's going on?
You know, I think a lot of people like really, I think in this day and age, we a lot of times change meanings to words, because I always people call themselves an introvert. Like I've gone to high school with people and I'll see them on Twitter talking about how introverted they are. And I'll be like, girl, I've known you since I was 11. When have you ever been an introvert? I'm just like, you literally are the most outgoing person, because there's a difference between being outgoing and just every so often being like, you know what? I just don't want to go out. I just really don't want to see y'all today. That's normal. Like everyone has those days, but there's a difference between being just a normal person and like having legitimate issues with going out and meeting people. Not to say that, you know, she didn't, but I think this book had a lot of deep issues that were going on in it, but it was
glossed over,
shallow level. Like, you know, it wasn't like really explored. That's why my main problem with this book, and I think if this wasn't the case, I think this book, I would have given it a 4 or a 5, is the fact that the whole first part of the book is just them going out and you like meet Pilot and all her friends. And then all of a sudden it's like, bam, climax. Her parents find out she lied. And then you're thrusted into the future, but then thrusted back to the past. And I have to reread everything I read in the first half again, but like fast forward. And quite honestly, the first half kind of made me dislike all the characters, while in the second half, I was just like, oh, okay, well, you're not that bad. Like, I actually enjoyed Pilot slightly more. The second half of it than I did in the first half of it. He still had way too much man pain for me, but he was a little bit more bearable. Shane was she was pretty much the same. Like
Brittany.
Like she didn't change the entire book. Like literally, like there's a scene where Pilot, when they go back in time, where he tells her like that she got bolder, and I was just like, yeah, that's pretty much it. That's it. That she in retrospect, talks a little bit more. That's about it. But other than that, she's still like quirky, I guess. And it was just, I just felt like the whole first half was so unnecessary.
See, I agree with you, even though I haven't even gotten to the second half. I'm sure you're right. This is my issue with Shane. They literally took every cliche of the quirky, relatable Caucasian female and thrust it onto Shane. She loves the Beatles and mentions it every 5 seconds. She is obsessed with the TV show Lost. It's so cool. Like, it was just like, also self-insertion, because I know that Christine really enjoys the TV show Lost. It's one of her favorites. All the Harry Potter references, because, you know, she just loves Harry Potter and she's so cool and unique and quirky. Like, no, honey, almost every book lover likes Harry Potter, and there are millions of book lovers in the world. It doesn't make you unique or quirky. Like, join the rest of us. Like, there are so many of us out there. So that annoyed me. Another thing that annoyed me about Shane as a character is they made her being 20 years old and never having a sexual romantic relationship. They made that into a character flaw / character trait. And that really pissed me off. And also, she had the mental acumen of a 14-year-old as a 20-year-old. And they made that one of the reasons why she was so immature. It's like, oh, she's never had sex or had a boyfriend, so therefore she's mentally 14. That's insulting as hell. Because there are a lot of people who are 20 and older who have not had a sexual or romantic relationship for whatever reason, whether they're aromantic, they don't want to, it just hasn't happened. Who cares? It doesn't matter. And it's like, okay, so you're immature because you've never had these milestones, and that's why you're reading, like, you're giving me like 14-year-old tease. Like, I just
and you know what? I had like such a hard time feeling bad for her when the first half of the book ended, because when her parents come and everything unravels, it's like I don't know if you got to this part, OhSheReads.
Nope.
Her parents come for a surprise visit, and basically it's how the first half ends. And they want to take all her friends out to dinner, and all her friends think that she's a creative writing major, right?
Right.
Her parents think she's pre-med. So only person that knows that's a lie.
She didn't think that through.
Huh?
She did not think that dinner through.
And so the only person who does know that she lied to her parents is Pilot. So Pilot's girlfriend comes down too, so she's at the dinner too. So they're all at dinner.
Pilot has a girlfriend?
And the whole girlfriend,
honey.
The whole entire book.
Honey, we gonna get
whole
that
book.
part.
We gotta just give us a second.
Please continue.
But so my whole thing is that, first of all, her friends are all dumb, because when her dad's asking one of them, like, oh, how's it working at the hospital with Shane? Girl, I'd have been like, oh, it's so good. Like, you know, even if it was a lie, I'd have
your friend's back.
Her friend goes, what? I'm a law major. And I'm just like,
exposed.
So wait, I was just like, okay, but Shane, how come you just didn't like put them all in a group text in the car? I just didn't think I'm pre-med. Go along with it.
Because it wouldn't have been convenient for the plot. And I hate
it was convenient for the plot.
I hate plots like that, where it's like, I'm gonna write a series of events that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, but I have to write it like this because I need my plot to go this way, because this is what I need to happen, so this is what's going to happen. I call that lazy writing, but I'll get to that later.
And I can't understand, like, if that was the case, then in retrospect, all her parents would have really had to do was go, hey, honey, let's look up this for the study abroad and see if they have this. And would have pre-med, and it wouldn't have existed, and then she still could have gotten in trouble. Like, for instance, in the second part of the book, when I go back in time, the instance where her parents find out, it does change. Like, they don't all go to dinner. It's just her and her parents. And I'm just like, I just didn't want to reread it. I think that
again, but better.
It's kind of like, okay, for instance, 13 going on 30. In 30, she fast forwards, right?
Yes.
And you don't have to rewatch the past however many years of her life. She goes forward and has to work around being 30 years old with a 13-year-old mind frame. If that's how you were trying to go about it, like a 17 again, 13 going on 30 thing, that's fine. But I don't think it was needed to have the first half of the book tell me all these things that I'll have to be reiterated again in the beginning. Like, I feel like if the book would have started in present day 2017 and then went from there and they went back in time, then I would have liked it more. But when I started liking the book, I was realizing there's like 10 chapters left. And I was just like, okay, but now everything's rushed and I don't believe this love that they have for each other because y'all literally like didn't do anything. All y'all did was like go to the Pantheon and that's it. And then he like ignored you for 6 weeks.
To give background for those that haven't read the book. To give background for those that haven't read the book, Pilot, who we've mentioned several times, is the main love interest / main male protagonist. First of all, his name is Pilot, which
Pilot Pen.
Okay, let's move past it. Let's move past it. So anyways, so Pilot, she literally meets in the first chapter, right when her plane lands, and she checks into her dorm. She meets the girls in her dorm, which one of them is named Babe, which I also had an issue with that name. And the second girl, I can't remember her name, but it was kind of weird. Sarah, I don't know. Sarah, I can't remember. Everyone has really bizarre names except for Shane, apparently. But she meets Pilot in that same kind of like, we just landed, checking into my dorm, look outside my dorm window at like the building kitchen. There's a cute boy. Oh, it's Pilot. And they hit it off right away with these like painfully awkward conversations. At least they read painfully awkward to me. I mean, I don't know how those of you who have read the book, I'm not really sure how the dialogue read to you. There were some cute moments, I'm not going to lie, but a lot of it was very painful to read. The way that it was structured and just the things that they said back and forth, I was just kind of like, and because Shane has never had a romantic relationship, I was confused by that because the way her conversations with Pilot went also made it seem as if she's literally never spoken to a boy in her life. I was like, so I'm confused. Is it that she's never had a romantic relationship, romantic connection, or she's literally never spoken to someone of the male species? Because the way she's speaking to Pilot and the way she is interacting with Pilot makes it seem that she was locked up in it. Like she was like, I don't know, the girl from Tangled, locked up in a tower, never met a boy in her life. And now she just met one and she doesn't know what to do.
Can I just say something about the name Babe? So when they go back in time, she has to redo everything, re-meet everyone, right? And so her and Babe are in the car. Mind you, she's been best friends with this girl for 6 years as of 2017. But back when they go back in time in 2011, the whole thing, okay. So I don't think you got to this part, but she goes on a vacation thing with Babe and her boyfriend, not boyfriend Chad, right? And
yeah, they go to Paris.
Yeah, right.
That
okay.
was a disaster.
Yeah. Okay. So when that re-happens for the second time, she's trying to get Babe to not think about it. So she's like, what kind of name is Babe anyway? And she goes, oh, my real name is Barbara. She was friends with this girl for 6 years and had no idea.
That's not realistic.
I was just like,
no, seriously, Troy, that's another example of lazy writing. It's like, I need this conversation to happen here because of this plot device that I'm using, but it makes absolutely no sense. Like, how could you be best friends with someone for 6 years and not know their real name? It doesn't make any sense.
Literally, people who come to my house, they're always like, what's your real name? Because my parents call me like 80 different things. So it'll be like my mom calls me Cole, and then my sisters and brothers may call me Nini, or they may say Troy. People call me Troy Nicole. And they'll be like, what is your actual name? And I'll be like, well, my name is, I've even had people on BookTube ask me like, oh, is your real name Nicole, or is it Troy, or what is it? And I have to tell people, okay, my name's Troy Nicole, but a lot of people I'm named after 2 different people. So it's kind of hard to just say Troy and my dad not look and go, what? So people tend to call me different things. So in the book, Babe tells this story about how she just wanted a change. So she just changed her Facebook name to Babe. And I'm just like, so you mean all your family, everyone who's known you since you were a kid, have never put on your Facebook picture, profile, whatever, hey, Barbara, miss you. Hey, Barbara, I can't wait to see you. It's just always, all of a sudden, they say Babe. You know, my friends changed the fact that my name is Troy, saved their lives. They've all If I try to go, oh, call me Cole, they'll be like, I can't. I can't. So I'm just like, so all your family and stuff don't call you Barbara?
It
ever?
doesn't make sense.
Like it made no sense.
Oh,
Julius is kind of an elderly name. It is. It's not that great of a name.
So I'm kind of trying to move the plot along for those of you that have either not read the book, have no interest in reading the book, whatever. So she meets Pilot, she meets Babe, she meets that other girl that I can't remember her name. They all of a sudden start having all these adventures. They click right away. The point, okay, so her and Pilot seem to hit it off, and they have all of these moments where it feels like they're flirting, but you can't really tell. Okay, the way that it's written, you cannot tell because it's written from Shane's perspective. So I guess I should have said this. It's written in first person present in Shane's perspective. So there we go. So the way that the story is written, because we are seeing everything through the eyes of Shane, there's no way to 100% know if something is happening or not because it's only happening from her perspective. So we don't really know the facts. So the way that her interactions with Pilot are going, she's making it seem as if she thinks that there's a lot of flirting going on. She thinks that they're really connecting. She thinks that they're really having a moment, that they're really bonding, they're getting along. There are all these moments where they almost kiss, but then they don't. But we don't know if that's actually fact because we're just seeing it from her eyes. And because she has never had a romantic relationship, it almost makes her untrustworthy in a way because it's like she takes everything as like a flirting. It's like, he touched my shoulder. This is romantic. He brushed my arm.
I will say you get a definitive answer on whether or not she's crazy at the end, towards the end, when they go back in time. Well, no, before they go back in time, basically what happens in not present day, but 2017, I know Brittany's got something to say about this because I know how she feels about stalking. So her and Pilot do not speak for everyone else in their little group still talks except Pilot. He does not answer anything from anybody because he's still with said girlfriend in 6 years prior.
Which we're about to talk about in just a second.
Yes, because, oh, child. But anyway, so she actually has not spoken to this man in 6 years. She's about to graduate and become a doctor. And so she randomly shows up at his office after 6 years of not talking.
Wait.
Oh God.
How did she find out this information?
Because they're friends on Facebook, so she knows where he works.
How?
You can put on Facebook where you work.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Ladies and gentlemen, do not put your whole information on the internet.
Right. But
they literally have had zero silent communication for 6 years.
Zero. Like she said that they do like, oh, happy birthday and Merry Christmas, but it never surpasses that. They won't speak. And so she shows up at his office, just randomly at his office, and asks to go to coffee. And then she, 6 years later, like a loon, asks him, like, was she crazy? Was there something there? Because basically she's engaged later.
Wait, she's engaged?
Mm-hmm.
Wait! No, come back. Wait, I done missed something. Wait.
How is she engaged thinking about some dude she met 6 years ago that she hasn't spoken to in 6 years?
Okay, so you know what? I have not commented. Huh?
She gets engaged and then she thinks she needs to go back to her past?
Well, in retrospect, she doesn't choose to go back there. I will say that. But I can't. Okay, so basically what happens is she asks him to go to coffee because she says that she needs to know that she wasn't crazy and that all of these instances back then wasn't just her being crazy. And so they have coffee and he gets angry naturally because he's still with this girl that he's been with forever and tells her like basically that it doesn't matter and but she asks him because she wants him basically to say that she was crazy. And he says that she wasn't crazy and that all those things did happen. Like he did try to kiss her, he did rub up on her, right?
6 years ago.
Yes. And so she like freaks out. They get into an argument because he's still with Amy. And so she goes off on him. And I was just like, this is where I was just like, you know what? I didn't care about the emotional cheating at first, but you are a real side chick. Because she goes, are you happy? Are you engaged? Do you love her after all? just like, Jesus, girl.
It gives her the right to even ask these questions.
Wait. So, as a person that's never read the story, you know what's missing, right? You know what's missing in this whole story part that you're telling me? Because I haven't read the book. You know what's missing?
What?
Her emotional growth to even grasp the concept of these feelings in the first place. Like,
yes.
Have you been talking about this?
This is 27-year-old her, or 26. I
It sounds like her, which was mentally 14-year-old her.
So what? So she's 20 now?
She's like 26, I think, or 27 by the forward. I think.
Oh, my head hurts.
But so they get into an elevator of this creepy coffee shop that they've never heard of. Oh, okay. I should say this first. In the beginning, she's on the plane with some redhead lady, and the redhead lady shows up.
Oh yeah, she keeps showing up.
Yeah, she's like a spirit guide, and she is who sends them back to the past, because they go into the elevator and she asks him, does he ever...
Brittany is over it.
And he said he has thought.
Because, oh my God, the fairy guy.
He says he does. He has had thoughts of wanting to go back. And then the elevator comes to a stop. And when I think she faints, they wake up in 2011 again.
Why does she faint?
I don't know. I don't really... It's
okay, so I'm going to use this as an opportunity to segue into the whole girlfriend situation. So I will say that we find out about Pilot's girlfriend very randomly. Let me just say, him and Shane have been keying it over all over London, and they went to Italy. And the girlfriend, did the girlfriend come up after Italy?
Yes.
Well, okay, they went to Italy together. Now, granted, it was a group of friends, so they weren't alone. But they basically, my point is, Shane and Pilot have been spending a lot of time together, whether alone or in a group setting with all the rest of their friends, having a great time, having all these conversations, getting to know each other, talking about their lives. Not once has Pilot brought up his girlfriend. Not one time. It was only brought up, and it was not even brought up by Pilot. It was brought up by their mutual friend. The only thing I can remember is that he was the token diversity character. I cannot remember his name.
Atticus, right?
Thank you. Atticus.
Atticus? What nationality was Atticus?
Wasn't Atticus Asian? Am I tripping?
I don't know. I just remember he was like gay, wasn't he?
Either way, token diversity.
He covered all the bases of diversity.
Yeah, pretty much.
Whether it was his race, ethnicity, or sexual orientation, he was the token diversity character.
Yeah.
And he basically outed Pilot by saying, because they were using Skype to communicate with their family members back home. And he was like, oh, you want to talk to your girl? Like, I'm sorry. Like, did you get a chance to talk to her? And you could hear a pin drop in that kitchen at that table, because all of a sudden Shane realized that Pilot had a girlfriend, and her reaction wasn't, oh no, he has a girlfriend. Like, okay, he's off limits. Like, I need to back off. Like, I'll dial it back. I'll put myself in the friend zone. He's in a relationship. No, her reaction was like, oh my God, he has a girlfriend, but he's never mentioned her. He's never talked about her. Does he really like her? How long have they been dating? Well, maybe this isn't real. Girl, when I tell you, how do you go from a character that's never had a romantic relationship to all of a sudden becoming the type of girl that other girls hate? The type of girl that will move in on a boy when he's in a relationship, that doesn't care, that is like, oh, and she even goes further along, like, as the girlfriend comes up numerous scenes after this to say, like, well, he can't be in love with her. They've only been dating for a month. They can't really be in love. They probably haven't said I love you.
Real quick.
Huh?
He became a side piece real quick.
And wait, to make matters worse,
or talks about her. I mean, she builds up this whole reality in her mind that makes it okay for her to continue to flirt with and have a crush on him. And I'm not saying stifle your feelings, but most girls, at least girls that I know and women that I know, once they find out that the dude is married, engaged, has a girlfriend, has a situationship, immediately you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to be over here. Like, I want like juices, like cool, like, okay, I'm over here, he's over there. I'm going to distance myself. Like, I'm not trying to get myself in the middle of that situation. Like, he's with somebody. Bye. But that was her reaction.
It wasn't at all. And you know what, OhSheReads, I know you're gonna roll your eyes because we both dislike this book, but I was watching Myona's video on Again But Better, and someone in the comments said that it reminded them of Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover.
It did, and that was one of the reasons I hated that book, because of the emotional and then physical cheating.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that you said that it reminded you of that, because all this book did from the moment I started reading it up until where I am now, still don't know if I'll finish it, to be honest with y'all, is I honestly felt like while Christine was writing this book, she reread Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, and she reread what was that other heinous book I cannot stand?
Anna and the French Kiss.
Anna and the French Kiss. She reread those two books, and she took the characters and the plots from those two books and she combined it and came up with her own, because Pilot reminded me so much of Etienne from Anna and the French Kiss, who I freaking hated him. I'm sorry if I'm really heated in this review, but this book brings out a lot of emotion.
Right.
I freaking hated Etienne in Anna and the French Kiss. I hated that
I did not read it.
That is another book where it's like study abroad program in France. Girl is quirky and relatable. Boy is like sophisticated French boy, has a girlfriend, but is okay flirting with Anna the whole freaking book until they get together, even though he's in a full-on relationship. The only difference is the girl that he's in a relationship with is also at the school, and that causes a lot of conflict because she's the mean girl, and they made her the mean girl to make it okay that she's being cheated on. And that is...
Let me say, I hate that okay, it didn't happen in this book because the girlfriend, Amy, is kind of just like, she has no backbone, basically. But I hate that trope, because I'm in one of movie that I do enjoy watching, even though it's not that great, is Something Borrowed with Kate Hudson. And in it, they make Kate Hudson's character so unbearable, and it's actually a book as well. And I'm just like, I just find it so lazy that in 2019 you can't find a better way to build up your main character than making the girlfriend of someone else be so annoying and a bully. I'm just like, I get it, it's so easy, but that's something that I would understand if I'm reading a book geared toward a 15-year-old. Like, you know, if I'm watching Pretty Little Liars, I know that what I'm gonna get, but I don't think I should be reading someone in their 20s or later. Sometimes it can be later, and you're still giving this mean girl Regina George mentality. I'm just like, you're not over that. You're in your 20s. Like I could not deal with all that. That would be too much for me. And then my problem with Amy more specifically was just that, okay, I don't know which part this is in, so you might have not gotten to it. Shane all her feelings in her notebook, right? And
okay.
Reads it.
Wait, hold on. Say that again.
Shane writes all her little, you know, she has a diary.
Yeah, she had that journal.
Yeah, and she left it in the kitchen, and Amy reads it. Amy being the girlfriend. And so obviously Shane freaks out, and she talks about how like she feels like someone violated her. I was just like, you've been violating this girl's whole book. What are you talking about?
Like, did you forget?
Is it a violation?
This whole time, girl. Hold on.
Like, and then Amy's just like, I just needed to know. I needed to know I wasn't crazy. I was like, girl, you want to keep him now? And she keeps him for 6 years. And then, like, even in the future tense, Pilot tells Shane that Amy is always paranoid, no matter who he's with. And that's why he wouldn't speak to them during those 6 years, because Amy didn't want him to. And this is what really blows me, y'all. This is what really blows me. That when they go back in time, first of all, he thinks that she did it, that she has some magic sorcery and brought them back, whatever. Okay. And then he tells her he breaks up with Amy. Mind you, they're in 2011, so he's only dated Amy for like 3 months. But in his world, he dated her for 6 years. You dated her for 6 years, and then it comes out that he actually sent her a voicemail to break up with her, and she never got it.
I will be DNFing this book. Okay, so
You're like, and I'm DNFing it.
I'm so serious. I'm so serious.
I just want to point out that I feel like I've heard pieces of this story told on so many different TV shows and like, you know, other books all put into one book. And I'm just sitting here like.
But you know what? Weirdly enough, I don't hate Christine's writing though. Like I wasn't like I said, if the first half of the book didn't exist and I didn't have to reread everything again, when they went back.
Better.
Huh? Better. No. I would have liked the book a little bit more because as far as the whole emotionally cheating and all the other stuff goes, I'm just like, okay, whatever. It's a contemporary, you know, when a romance is the central plot, like what do you have to go with it? You have someone who's going to have some sickness like a Nicholas Sparks book, or someone's going to get into a car accident and lose their memory like a K-drama. Like, you know, something's going to happen. It's going to be kind of just over the top. And right. I understand that. So the cheating really, I was just like, okay, whatever, I don't care. And I was like, as long as I could like the characters, but I did not like, you know, everyone said I didn't like Shane because of all the girl on girl stuff, like, you know, on being mean to girls, but I'm just like, and y'all could stay in Pilot. Because he was the only one that had like been dating someone. At the very least, Shane didn't owe Amy nothing.
Pilot, my issue, the reason I didn't like the characters is that each character was like a whole bunch of cliches stitched into making a character. There was no real work done to make these characters real and fleshed out. Mm. Pilot was that, you know, cool guy, you know, just leans against the wall with his hands in
his man.
Musician. Right. And like, he had nothing of substance there. There was nothing that felt real about him. He felt like a caricature. And like I said, he really felt like that Etienne guy from Anne and the French Kiss. So I hated that. And I just couldn't connect to his character. And it sounded like his music was mediocre. Even with Christine writing it, I was like, you're writing him like he's a mediocre musician. So how am I supposed to feel about this? So it was just, yeah. So the characters to me felt very caricaturish and not fleshed out, which was my main issue with them. And then the reason I keep saying the lazy writing is because, like, I actually did enjoy Christine's writing at a lot of points. I don't think she's a bad writer at all. I actually will buy her next book because I'm curious. I think she has talent there. But my issue with the lazy writing is these plot devices that don't work and that are stitching things together that outside of that situation makes no sense. And like, for example, the character of Amy is just she's just a ploy. She's just a plot device. She's not a real character. She's not a foil. She's just kind of there. You don't give her a backbone. You make her a throwaway character. And the only reason you have her there is for conflict because it's not even a real conflict because he clearly doesn't give a damn about Amy because if he could break up with her in a voicemail or date her for 6 years of his life and then go back in time and break up with her like it's nothing, clearly she doesn't matter. It's like, is she even a human being or is she just a cardboard cutout? Like, I'm so confused. Like, there's no conflict with you breaking up with someone you dated for 6 years. There's no conflict with you breaking up with someone that you're engaged to. There's no angst there. It's just like, oh, okay. That is the problem for me. Like, that does not show real character development. Like, I understand that there's side characters and like Amy's barely in the book, the fiance's barely in the book. But when you're going to use them to cause like so much turmoil in the main characters' lives, they need to feel real. There needs to be some attachment there, some connection there. Oh.
And okay, so we haven't really talked about this.
I don't even know.
Ted says her writing sounds good, but she needs to clearly work on narrative and character structure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ted. That's it in a nutshell.
That's
another review I was watching said that there was a lot of telling and not showing. Yeah, there was a lot of telling and not showing.
I saw someone say she kind of wrote it like a screenplay, and I kind of agree with that. It kind of wrote like you.
Yeah, I could see this being like a really cutesy little like romantic comedy, and it would work in that medium flawlessly because it's not an unrecognizable story or plot. Yeah. But as a novel, like you said, the first part probably could have been completely either edited out or cut way down. The characters of Amy could have been fleshed out. The fiance character could have had a bigger part in the story to give it way more conflict and like tension. Shane could have actually been mentally 20 years old. Yeah, a lot of things.
Last thing I'll say is I'll talk on the magic part of it, because there is magical realism in this book. When you get, I'd say maybe to the middle-ish of the book, you're thrusted back in time, back in 2011, when they have the study abroad. My problem with it is I don't really mind open-ended things. I don't like it in particular. Like, I'd rather everything be wrapped up, but if it's there, it's there. And the magic is pretty open-ended. Like, you never get any answers to who this redhead is. She comes and goes randomly. Why Shane was picked to go back in time, and why Shane's life was, in retrospect, important enough to go back in time for. And okay, I just wish the magic would have been explored. What I think would have been better for this book would have been if, okay, I don't know if you guys have read that Colleen Hoover book, Ugly Love, but every other chapter is like 6 years prior. And then you get another chapter, which is present day. I think if she would have done something like that, maybe did, every other chapter, go back in time and then do present day, I think I would have been more invested in it, because it was like I had to read all of 2011, then 2017, then back to 2011, then back to 2017. And it was so boring because 2011, first time around, nothing really happened of substance. Meanwhile, everything happened when they got older.
Okay.
I feel like if she would have maybe structured it a little bit differently, so there wasn't so much. I feel like the first half was just info dump. Like, it just was, I'm telling you everything that happens, so that way when they go back in time, I really don't have to go through it again. Kind of just too sped up in 2017, 2011 part 2. It just wasn't.
Which is why I wonder, like, who are the editors that these girls are working with? And by these girls, I mean like Christine and like Sasha and like any other of the big booktubers that might come out with books, which I'm sure we're going to start to see more and more of them come out with books as the years go on, because clearly, I mean, why wouldn't you if you know it's going to be successful with the audience that you have? And I have nothing against them whatsoever, but I just really question the structural integrity of these novels, and like who is looking into them, like what editors they're working with. I mean, we could probably find out, but I'm just like, if we can sit here and have a discussion and clearly point out the issues, like, heck, if we had been the beta readers and been like, hey, info dump here, like maybe you might want to do this, like just letting you know, like it's not reading like a 20-year-old situation, it's reading like a 14-year-old, like they went study abroad at 14, like you did like a boarding school thing. Like, if we were able to point out these problems, and, maybe not everyone had these issues, because I've seen a lot of people on Christine's Instagram being like, oh my God, I love the book. It's like one of my favorite reads. And that's great for those that enjoyed the book as it is and were able to like take great enjoyment from it the way that it's written right now. But I just wonder about the critical thinking skills of those readers. Not to be hard.
Also, though, I think, and I'm not, I think I privated this video, so one can go try to kill me about it, but I did do a video on talking about stan culture being mixed into booktube, and a lot of people did not like it, but and
Brittany's so, like, I'm not in it. My name is Bennett, and I'm not
right.
I'm a person that strongly believes that you should not have to stifle opinions that are based on you're bringing facts. You're not just saying the book sucked. You're saying, I wish the book would have been better, and here's why. It's still gonna be people in the comments talking about y'all.
Right.
No, because these people clearly, why are y'all that invested in someone else's opinion?
True.
Get a life.
Basically, my point was that I think a lot of people of the age of, stan culture, of being, 14 to 17 would enjoy this book. I even said in my review that, I probably would have really, really enjoyed it back when I was a preteen, because it reads like a lot of books I read back then. So I think I'm just too old and I don't connect with it enough, because I'm not in a place where maybe even 20-year-old me would have liked it, because I was just as like that, maybe not to that extreme, but pretty much like that when I was 20. But I think so many people who didn't like it were of our age range because
it wasn't for us.
Yeah, it's not for us. We're not, like, for instance, my little sister loves the show Grownish, but I don't particularly watch it because I just don't think it's meant for me. I may be in college, but I'm also 24 years old. So right. I don't really get anything from it, but she loves it. She's 19 though. So I just feel like it depends on how old you are and what you get from it, because
you are in your life.
I think you would really like it.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm very frozen.
Yeah, you're frozen. Ooh. Yeah, no, I think that is an excellent point, and I think we will end this review here. I will say my final thoughts on it are, from what I've read, I would give it a 3 stars because, like I said, it's not badly written. She shows great, like, she's clearly a writer and she's a good writer. She just has some things to work on. And I'm curious to see what she will come out with next. I'm curious to see what direction she's going to take next, because even though this book reads like a young adult book, I think it was marketed as new adult because of the age of the characters, like 20 and in college. So I'm thinking that would be new adult, but it reads like a young adult. So I'm curious to see which avenue she's going to take, if she's going to fully go into new adult or if she's going to come back into young adult. So I will continue to follow her and like see what she writes next. And I'm happy for her. I think it became a New York Times bestseller. So I'm super thrilled that she got that. And that's definitely something to be proud of. That's an accomplishment. But I'm not going to lie and say that I didn't have issues with the book. I do agree with Troy that it just wasn't meant for us, the way that it was written, the way that it read. Honestly, for me, I don't even think I would have enjoyed it as a preteen or a teenager, only because I grew up in a time where young adult wasn't even a real genre. I think young adult started to form around like the Twilight time.
Oh my gosh. I literally asked that once on Twitter and people tried to bite my head off.
It wasn't a real thing when I was a kid.
I didn't think so.
It wasn't young adult back then, no.
I think the closest to young adult we had when I was growing up was the author Sarah Dessen.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
She was the OG of young adult.
Definitely OG of young adult.
She was young adult before young adult was a thing. It wasn't until Stephanie Meyer's books, the Twilight books, that young adult started to form and become this thing. But I will say that I do remember that as a kid growing up, from the ages of 11 through about 17, the books that were geared towards my age bracket made us think. They did not dumb things down for us. They actually made us kind of reach up, like the language in the books, the subject matter, the way the books were written, the way that topics were tackled. Nothing was dumbed down. Everything was, you had to literally, like, I remember reading books and I would have a dictionary next to me because there'd be words and I didn't know what they meant. Like, everything was critically assessed. Like, you would have critical thinking. You would have to develop critical thinking skills while reading because you're trying to figure out what is going on. And so because I had those reading experiences and because I had those type of books geared towards me during that time, it's a very special time, like a very weird generation. It's like pre-young adult. It's weird, but I don't think I would have enjoyed it as a kid. I would have just been like, what's going on? But that's just me personally. I know everybody has a different opinion and that's great. Let's move on. That concludes our review.
No,
better.
Let's look at the comments first before we jump to our next topic, because you know we're good at forgetting comments.
We are. Let's see. Should we start at the very top?
No, we got some of the comments.
Yeah, I answered a few of them.
Ted has some great comments. This sounds like a headstrong love mess.
Oh, Lord.
How do you go from a shy introvert to someone okay with being a mistress? Such inconsistent writing.
Ooh.
Facts.
For Shane's neck.
Ooh, little wolf reads. I'm glad you're here. I have words for you. I hope you're still here.
Yeah, your fault we read Twilight.
I know. You made us reread Twilight, girl. Come back to the chat.
You almost put me in a reading slump.
Okay. Let's see. Ted says about the writing, that discussion we're having about writing and like the pop culture references. He said, my lecturer said the same exact thing. Unless a time, era, or character's appearance is totally relevant, then there's no need to state it. Pop culture references can be dangerous if overdone. Julia says, I adore Christine, but I don't know if I would pick up the book regardless of the reviews because I'm not a big fan of contemporary. Let's see. Julia continues, I feel like that much pop culture takes away from the plot and actually enjoying the characters. I might pick up Julia again, I might pick up Sasha's new book she's writing because historical fiction interests me, but after Zenith, I don't know. Oh, Queen and Sheena brought up a good point. I'm 34. I'm a 34 and ace without sex. Trust me, I'm an adult. There you go.
Yeah, I'm thoroughly convinced that was just lazy, but you know. Like, you don't have to be a 14-year-old because you decided to not have sex.
Yeah, it's just like they mentally dumbed her down and because of that one thing, and I just didn't think that was right.
Yeah.
Jess Cameron says, I just wonder why we think certain issues are more okay and fun for younger audiences because the books we read help shape us.
Facts.
Shoot, that brings us to Twilight.
Wow.
Don't get Brittany started. She's still heated. We didn't completely read it.
Oh my God.
First of all, we have read, I think I recently listened to the audiobook at some point, like last fall. So
I did a series on my channel where I reread it. So I reread it literally a month ago.
Here's the question. Do you remember the first time that you read Twilight?
Yeah.
Yes.
And do you remember anything specifically from the first time that you read it that made you want to read the whole series?
Do I remember? Yes, Robert Pattinson and Taylor Lautner.
So you read the books when the movie was out?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely read it before the movies. So
I had no interest before finding out that Robert Pattinson and Taylor Lautner were going to be in it.
Wow.
I read Twilight. Well, my first attempt at reading Twilight was in 2005. I was a freshman in college, and I went to Barnes and Noble's that doesn't exist anymore in Astor Place in New York City, and all I remember was seeing this huge display of just Twilight books, and I was very curious. So I picked it up and I read the first three pages, and I was instantly turned off, and I was like, this book is really badly written. I have no desire to continue. I did not revisit it again until I became a nanny some years later, and this is when the type started to happen, the films started to, you know, all that. And the little girls that I was watching were obsessed, and they made me read it to them every single night. And I remember I would read it to them, but I would like amend the story. I'd be like, hey, we're reading Twilight, but hey, remember, like, don't be like Bella. Like, there's more to life than chasing after a boy. By the way, sparkly vampires aren't a thing. Like, I would like read it to them, but I would preface it and like make sure that they understood that it was like not real and they needed to not be like Bella.
Okay.
And it wasn't until the first movie came out that I finally went back and like seriously read the first book. And it reminded me a lot of, oh God, this is gonna bug me that I can't remember. I can't remember the names of anything, but it's an English classic. And one of the main, Heathcliff and Catherine. What book is that?
Wuthering Heights.
Wuthering Heights. It gave me Wuthering Heights vibes. Oh. And then when I read something about the feel of the book, and then when I read the Stephenie Meyer interviews, she said that she was actually really, really, really influenced. Like, yeah, Twilight came to her in a dream, but she was also really influenced by classic British literature, and one of the big ones was Wuthering Heights. And I was like, that makes sense. And so from then on, I just continued to read the rest of the series because there was a lot of hype around it at the time, and people were going crazy over it. And I admit I bought into the hype, and it was because of the movies. And that was the reason I completed the series. But by no means did I feel that it was a masterpiece or like amazingly written. If anything, it was very entertaining. And a lot of the critiques that people had about it, in a weird way, I understood it. But I grew up in a place where I know a lot of girls like Bella. Like growing up in the South in a very like Christian environment, where I grew up in a very religious environment. I went to church 2, sometimes 3 times a week. Like my parents made me get a purity ring when I was like 12. Like that kind of like very like Pentecostal, like very strict upbringing. I knew a lot of girls like Bella, like girls whose whole lives revolved around getting married, falling in love, finding a guy. Like, you make your whole life about this dude. Like, maybe you have a career, but you're probably not going to. You're probably gonna be a homemaker. You're gonna want to do anything the guy wants to do. You're literally like engaged at like 17 years old to your high school sweetheart. Like, I knew a lot of girls like Bella growing up. So Bella's character was not strange to me. She actually made a lot of sense to me because I knew a lot of girls growing up that were exactly like her. So you had all these girls being like, or all these people and critics being like, oh my God, like she's so, like she's a Mary Sue, like she's a pick-me, like she's just like about this guy. She has no friends, she has no hobbies. And I'm like, I know a lot of young girls like that.
Wait, because I feel like you're giving Bella too much credit. So, number one, Bella did have friends. She just didn't think that they were good enough to be her friend. Like, talking to them was exhausting for that wench. Two, what is the nicest way that I can say this? Well, okay, so I need to preface this with, I don't know anybody like Bella because I grew up on military bases overseas my whole life, where you're thinking, I mean, there's a running joke that like if you marry somebody in the military, you would get married young, but like that wasn't like your goal. So if you read Bella, I did not take her as a small hometown girl. I took her as a pretentious bitch. It is what it is. I felt like every time she interacted with somebody that wasn't a Cullen, she was condescending, she was rude. She had like this elitist attitude over them. Like she was like, oh, I guess it's nice if he talks to me. I'm like, well, girl, you he aggravates me so much.
You know, I do know girls, like I even got to college and I was in my sociology class and I was sitting in like a row of other freshmen and someone turns to me and I have this like lime colored bike and someone goes, are you that girl with the lime bike? And I was just like, why do you know that? But I was just like, yeah, I am. So they started talking and trying to put me in the conversation and I really wasn't listening. And all I heard was, yeah, so my mom told me, you know, one of the reasons you really come to college is to get a husband. And I was just like, that's the only reason? That's the only reason you paid $16,000 to go to this school? You couldn't find a dude for free? I was just like, what? So I will say I don't know people like that. I definitely do know people who definitely have that mentality. So, but honestly, I didn't like Bella back then.
Yeah.
I guess even back then I had a little common sense, but I think it's a little bit different reading it now because I found when I was reading it now, I was like, a part of me didn't want to reread Twilight a couple of months ago because I was just like, there's a lot of nostalgia and I have a lot of good memories with my friends and everything from back in middle school when I read it and watched the movies. And one of my best friends went to go see the movies together. And so I had a lot of good memories, but I was just like, just try, just see, you know, there's so much talk about it on BookTube. So I want to go ahead to read it. And I was just like, man, growing up is shitty because now I read this book and I'm like, this is so stupid. Like, how this person? Or better yet, you know what? It wasn't even Bella. How do you like Edward? I was like, Edward, how do you like Bella?
Yes, let's get into that. Let's get into that. I will say to Brittany's comment about Bella being a pretentious bee, she is written that way.
Yes.
So the way that it's written, because I listened to the audiobook and that just makes everything so much worse or better.
Oh my God, it does. Especially the person that reads it. Why does she spell his name like Bella?
She does.
Like, are you a bullfrog? Like
a bullfrog.
At the school bus? You know the episode where they have the frog and it sounds like the frog is saying his name? That's what she sounds like every time they say Bella.
Bella. No, but the way that the way the characters are written is that Bella is just this special snowflake that everyone is just the boys are just fighting over her. She's beautiful, but she doesn't know she's beautiful, but she's clumsy, so she's still relatable. But she's still smarter than these kids because the way that the scenes would be written when she'd be interacting with the kids at the high school, the certain words that were used when the other characters were talking, like Jessica was always babbling. Did you guys notice that?
Yes.
Babbling on. The other girl, I can't even remember.
They're probably talking about me right now. I'm like, girl.
Just like the language that was used when the other characters were speaking was the type of language that makes it seem as if Bella is more intelligent than her peers. Bella is above her peers. Bella is special. Bella is set apart.
But it wasn't just that. They really said it too, because she even like was like a more advanced than everyone and everything.
Yes.
You know what? Okay, I understand that.
Books. I
understand that, because I will say that's a real thing. I will say that because I used to live in Maryland with my mom and sisters, and when I moved back to Texas, the Brittany, don't talk shit. Texas is a little bit different, so you take things differently. So I was ahead a little bit, and I had to but it was complicated because I was ahead but behind. So it was like I took all the classes that were senior classes for Texas, but freshman for the East Coast, and I went backwards. So when I was a sophomore, I was taking freshman classes.
Yeah, when I moved to the city from Germany to Florida, I had the same issue where it was like I only had to take the Florida required classes to pass. So in a sense, I really was above everyone else, but I still didn't act like that because I was the new person and I wanted friends.
Right. So it's just written because the other girls in the book are written as these, they're just normal 17-year-old high school girls who are just like concerned about boys and, just trivial matters. And they just babble on. They're talking about the school dance, which, by the way, both of those guys asked me to, and I said no. And then I turned around and suggested to them that they should ask the two boys that I rejected. It's fine. And I was just like, oh. I reading like this.
It's way worse on audiobook. It's so audiobook.
Worse. And then let's talk about Edward, and let's talk about them liking each other. So these were the thoughts that I was having about Edward the whole entire time I was listening to this book, is realizing that Edward is 100 years old. And I know that he's frozen at 17 or whatever age he is.
Was he older than that though? He was like 117 or something like that.
Even worse. So he's over 100 years old. So that means he's been alive for over a century. He has seen technological advances. He has seen so much. And yet he is content to repeat high school over and over. It makes no sense. Like, if you really think about it.
You know what? They did that for blending in purposes. But my issue is 117-year-old perfectly content with a 17-year-old girl. That's my issue. I'm like, so.
Robert Pattinson could have passed for a 20-year-old at that time. So he could have definitely skipped the 14.
And here's the thing. This is how Stephanie Meyer justified it when she was writing it. That scene where Edward and Bella are talking and she recognizes the Debussy, however you say that classical musician song that he's listening to, the CD. And he's like, Debussy? Like, oh my God. You're so
in the car.
You're so old and mature. And she's like, well, my mother says I'm mentally 30-something years old. I'm like, no. Knowing classical music does not make you more mature. What?
You just reminded me. I know we're over Again But Better, but I remember it pissed me off on Again But Better. There's a scene where she starts talking about the Beatles, and he goes, "You know the Beatles?" And I was like, "You know this book?" I'm so upset.
I just realized this. Bella says, well, my mom says that I act like a 35-year-old, but Bella also says that her mom acts like a child. So I was like, I don't.
So there's your justification for 100-year-old frozen 17-year-old sparkly vampire to have anything in common with this real human 17-year-old. Still don't buy it.
Also, another fantastic part of this is I just really I understand why when you were reading this to the girls that you were the nanny of, that you were saying this is not okay, because the entire beginning of their relationship, Edward is literally telling her, girl, I've been stalking you, spying on you.
Yes.
You sleep,
everything
you around because I like you.
Yes.
Like, oh, this is so amazing. And I'm like, this is just
not acceptable.
Not acceptable.
On any level.
Like, restraining order. Like, your dad's a cop. Tell him this boy's been following you. Like, this is
the issue that in addition to that, this man, I'm going to call him a man because he's over 100 years old, is literally sitting there in the cafeteria telling her, and in other conversations, I'm dangerous. You don't want to be my friend. Okay, I put myself in that place as a 17-year-old girl. I'm talking to a boy and he's telling me he's dangerous and I don't want to be around him. I'm not going to just ignore that.
Right. It was like every time you
saved like from being crushed by a man.
know the long that I have to be with him.
What?
What? Like every time he would tell her like you don't want to be around me, it was he just doesn't understand how much I need his presence. He doesn't understand that even though he's dangerous, I still want this. And I'm like, what do you want? Because you don't even understand what's going on here.
Doesn't understand at all.
Like,
one thing I didn't like about her writing in particular, and I'm going to fast forward from Twilight to Eclipse, is when I read Eclipse.
Oh, okay.
Even just because this is like one thing I really disliked, and I didn't realize it until Eclipse because that's the only book with multiple POVs.
Yes.
Get to Jacob's perspective in Eclipse, and I could not tell the difference between the voices of either one.
Nope.
Like at all, except for when like if there was like a werewolf, then I'd be like, oh, okay, Jacob's talking.
Jacob, yes.
It was like they
so weren't distinct.
They weren't distinct. It was like the only thing that was distinct about Jacob is he had like one catchphrase that didn't transfer to the movies where he would go like sure.
Yes.
Like, oh, okay, that's Jacob. But other than that, but then she picked it up a couple of times. I was just like, oh God, I'm never going to understand who's talking. So I will say she wasn't very good at doing the whole change in voices. And I just didn't think that Jacob's perspective was necessary at all anyway.
Not in the books. I will say
he wasn't a main character anyway.
The movies did an amazing job of actually making these people into characters, because when you're reading the books, it's not good enough. Like the characterizations are not good enough. They're not strong enough. And I think the movie did an amazing job of making Edward, making Bella, making Jacob, where it was like three distinct characters. And even with the side characters like Jessica and Eric and the other boy, I can't remember his name. They were all very distinct. And in the books, they're really not. Like, and that was something that I had forgotten. And going back and listening to the audiobook, I was like, wow, like these characterizations are not very good and they're not very strong. They're all kind of blah. And the only characterization that Edward really has is that he's beautiful and sparkly. And that's really the basis and the foundation of their relationship.
Let us not forget that every time she describes Edward, she refers to his jaw being stern.
I'll be right back, y'all.
That's
an extreme lust that somehow turns into a lifelong commitment, which is fine. I mean, it happens. But the movies, I think, do a better job. I never thought I would say this, but I actually, now that I've like attempted to reread the first book, I actually think I prefer the films.
I always preferred the films.
The films do a much better job of making the connection between Bella and Edward somewhat realistic and somewhat something that we could actually root for and believe is plausible.
I have to confess, I've actually never watched the movies.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Because I didn't like the book when I was a kid. And then I was like, nah, that ain't for me. Because I like, vampires normally are not sparkly. So for me in my brain, I was like, do I want to see this?
Yeah, that still makes no sense to me. I don't understand. It couldn't just burn in the sun like every other vampire on Earth. But
why they gotta be sparkly?
It was a nice little twist. But
wait, okay, this isn't off topic, but it kind of is. When we went to go see Twilight, I didn't warn my dad how weird it was in the theater, and he goes, that curse word just sparkle like out loud, and I was just like, "Yo, please shut up." So loud. And the
dad was so loud.
There was a dad who brought his little daughters with him, and then the guy literally goes, "I mean, I know, man," and I was just like, I could just have a full conversation in this movie theater.
Oh man, the dads are bonding about how dumb it is.
You know what? Charity's right. I think the only thing I liked about the Cullens is their backstories.
And
they had really good
ones. Is Stephenie Meyer spent 0 to no time on the backstory. She like gives you a snapshot and gets your attention. Like I remember especially not Alice. What's her name? Rosalie. Rosalie's backstory is so I would have read a whole entire book on Rosalie.
Yes.
Facts.
Yep.
And Jasper. I love Jasper.
Jasper has a very interesting one as well, and it's not touched. She just drops it in, and she's like, "All right, bye." And I'm like, "No, go back."
Yeah,
that's where the story is. That's your story.
Person we got like real story was Carlisle.
Yes.
Because even Edward was just kind of like, well, I was dying from influenza. Yeah.
And here I am, soulless but sparkling. Hey.
I would have like if she had come out with a book like these are the origin stories. Oh yes, I'd have been there. Yeah. I still don't know how Jasper became, or maybe if they did talk about it, I don't remember.
They do, but not in this book.
I forgot what happened.
Yeah.
Jasper's backstory happens in like the later books. I can't remember which one. I can't remember.
He was like in the Confederacy when he got turned.
I think it was in not New Moon.
It was Breaking Dawn, wasn't it? Or was it Eclipse?
Eclipse. I think it was Eclipse. It was Eclipse.
Maybe I'll watch the movies because I'm not picking up another.
I'm dead. You have seen the movies, I guarantee you, because they come on TV randomly.
I don't even have cable. And when they did come on TV, I would literally just go to something else.
I'm done.
I never watched them, but I guess I might watch them because I think they're on Hulu right now. So maybe I'll watch them and tell you guys what I think on our next live.
India is in the house from Books and Big Hair.
Hey, girl. So her mythology was just all over the place, honestly. She didn't intend to make more books after the first, but the witch screwed herself in the end with the mythology and the end because of the imprinting. The imprinting.
Right.
I totally forgot about the creeper thing. She really was.
Talk about it.
That was so creepy. That was creepy.
The creepiest part of it all is when Bella and Jacob are like, so you know what? Everything happens for a reason. Like, you were meant to be obsessed with me and in love with me because you were meant to be with my daughter. Like, ew.
That you're now going to groom and
just no. Like, ew. Ew.
Oh. You know what? Also, thanks to y'all, while I was reading this book, I kept laughing because you guys told in the last live, it was my first time learning that 50 Shades was the fanfic.
I can't believe you didn't know that.
Twilight.
I did not know.
I didn't read.
Start to pick up on it?
Huh?
Didn't you start to pick up on it? Like,
yes, and I was there. Where I would bust out laughing because I was like, "Oh my god, this is the scene where," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!"
When I first read 50 Shades, my friend had just told me to pick it up because it was becoming a movie, and I thought nothing of it, and I was getting like creeped out by it, and I was just. Why do I feel like I've reread a book? And she was just like, you don't get it? And I was just like, get what? And she was like, it's a fanfic of Twilight. And I was just like, you can make fanfics into books?
Girl, yes. Have you heard about the after situation?
I mean, now, yeah, but I read 50 Shades back in high school.
True. Wait, what happened with the after?
Well,
the after is a Harry Styles fanfiction.
The what?
It's a Harry Styles fanfiction.
It's basically a One Direction fan fiction.
Mm-hmm. You know what's crazy?
Look at your face.
I don't know how to respond to this. Like,
wait, you know something crazy? When I heard that After was being made into a book, I was just like, oh man, I remember back in like my One Direction days. I remember reading a few chapters of it, and it was bad then. And I was
on Wattpad.
Yeah, and I was just like the height of One Direction fan fiction is Wattpad.
Bruh, I didn't even know One Direction had fan fiction. Like,
yeah, girl.
What is this?
Hey, OhSheReads and Brittany, I want to hear something really creepy that I found out a couple of months ago.
Oh, sure. No. What?
There's Pokemon fan fiction.
Stop it.
No.
Nope.
And not like Ash and stuff like that. The animals. Everything I love.
Me and Teddy are not having it.
No.
I just ruined Brittany's whole day.
Just ruined Brittany's whole childhood. Thanks. Basically, I'm basically, grew up in Japan here, so why would you do this? Like,
terrible.
What is this?
I'm crying.
We went so far left from Twilight.
Oh God, fanfic. Okay. I'm done. No one send me anything of that nature. You will be done. Our friendship will end. I will block you. You are no. No.
Oh my God.
That is so funny.
Oh. What are the comments saying? I'm too lazy to read.
Okay, here I'll read.
Let's see.
Jasper's backstory was on Eclipse. OhSheReads, you need to detail your lipstick, honey.
It's 2 colors.
It's 2 colors.
So they need names.
Okay, I'll put it in the description box.
Okay, then she described it as being a brother, friend, or lover. But only ever showed the romantic aspects of it. I guess we're still talking about imprinting.
Ew!
Platonic, she only used it to keep Bella from choosing Jacob. Oh yeah, that is true, because that's the only time they ever brought it up too. Books and big hair. I think you can at people as long as you're on the computer, but not on your phone. I actually read 50 Shades before I even realized it was a Twilight fanfic. Yeah, girl, me too. I just learned a couple weeks ago that it was fanfic.
I think it was mentioned in the chat by India that Naya Reads and Smiles has the same opinions on Twilight as we do.
I saw her.
She had to close all her comments.
Yeah, she had to close her comments because they were hot
over Twilight.
Over Twilight.
Come on now.
I don't even think she finished the book because she was just like, what is wrong with, like, why is this book so fantastic to people?
You know what's funny? It's like with Twilight, either there's like a bunch of crazy hardcore stands or really, really hate it.
Yeah, there's no in between.
No in between.
For me, Twilight was more inspiring because, not because of the story, not because I do not like Stephenie Meyer. Brittany, I'm going to out you. You sent us a link in our group chat about how she may potentially be racist, but we'll discuss that later, or not at all.
Racist just lacks the mental capacity to expand her horizons past one particular color preference.
I love it. Yeah. But anyways, for those of you that might be interested, Google it. Apparently, the director of the first film, Catherine Hardwicke, was spilling all types of tea about how Stephenie Meyer did not want any Black characters cast in the film unless they were like the bad vampires. Like, she just could not. Well, that's being unkind. She was just kind of like, no, I see Alice specifically as this. Catherine Hardwicke, the director, was trying to be like, hey, maybe we could make this character Asian. Maybe we can make this character African American. Maybe we could do this. Maybe we could do that. And Stephenie Meyer was just really against it because she just saw her world as very, very white. And she just could not imagine. That's how she imagined it in her brain. And she just could not imagine in the movie changing that. So I won't put words in her mouth, but that's essentially what she said. So that's not, I don't find Stephenie Meyer particularly inspiring. What inspired me was the fact that you could have a dream about a plot that is literally one of the worst plots I've ever heard of, write it and have it become a bestseller. I was like, wow, if that is not inspiring as a up-and-coming writer, I don't know what is.
That is called hustling because she did the damn thing regardless.
Okay, Stephenie, I'm not hating.
Let me read this comment. I'm such a stan with Twilight because it reminds me of my high school, but I know what's up. And she is racist. Look at the way she has the Cullens describe the natives as dogs and violent.
Ooh.
Completely forgot about that.
Ooh. Facts. Wow.
Completely forgot about how technically they were the violent ones.
Yes.
Totally forgot.
Twilight just became problematic on a whole nother level.
I mean, problematic because she wrote this mess in the first place, but you know, hey.
Seriously.
But I'm more than happy to take suggestions on what book I should read next. But if you guys give me a book that's worse than Twilight, I will never take a suggestion from
Is there one?
There are plenty of books worse than Twilight, in my opinion.
Plenty.
Yeah. Because, you know, I love the action scene of Twilight when she was about to die. I was like, hey. Not but like it was something other than her obsessively talking about Edward by saying he's porcelain in like 8 different ways. So
let me say this. I do not think that Stephenie Meyer is a bad writer because I've heard her other books. What was that book about that girl, that alien that was living inside that girl's body?
The Host was a good movie.
I heard The Host was written well. I heard it was good. And then she recently came out with another book called The Chemist. Mind you, I own both of these books.
I've
never read them. I've never read them. I own both of them. One day I'll get to them. So she's not a bad writer.
Ted said he liked the dark themes, but hated the romance in The Chemist.
Ah. Ted, always coming through with the facts.
Always. I'm like, I think Ted said something about this. Ted, I don't know if you know this, but we're basically all friends here.
Yes.
Yeah, you have some wisdom in the comments every live.
Exactly.
Have any of you read The Man by Jodi? Is that Jodi Picoult? That's the only Jodi I know.
The only book I ever read by Jodi Picoult was called like My Sister's Keeper or something like that.
I've actually read,
and that book scarred me, and I will never read another Jodi Picoult book again.
I read. All I know is the cover is like a light blue, and it involves elephants. I just cannot remember the name of it. And it was actually a good book.
No,
it actually kind of surprised me.
Great writer. I'm just like, look, if I want to be emotionally damaged by a book, I'm just going to pick up Nicholas Sparks or something. Like, this is too much.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. Because Nicholas Sparks always gets you happy and then they kill off somebody.
Yo, I read the last song in like middle school. And I was like, I'm done.
We can't talk about this.
I'm triggered because anything happening to somebody's daddy, I'm like,
nope, I am a daddy's girl. Nope, I don't read this.
I had like ugly cried. I'm talking snot, like puffy eyes, like sobbing, pile of freaking like toilet paper because I can afford tissue.
Daddy's getting hurt. I'm done. You can check me out for the duration of whatever we're watching.
It was terrible.
No. It's Jodi Malpass.
Oh no.
It's called The Man, and apparently that is the worst book.
Oh.
I've never heard of it.
I've never heard of it too. Here's another comment. And how the only Black people in the books harm Bella. Tyler with the van, and then he's never used again. And then Laurent, who's supposed to be on their side, and then comes to kill her.
Yes. Also,
Tyler was Black?
Who?
Movie.
I had no idea Tyler was Black.
In the movie. Remember, she only wanted the Black characters in the movies to be the villains.
Oh, that's right. We just talked about Dang.
Yep. Those are the only Black characters that she okayed. And then they lucked out and they actually made, what was the name of that boy? There were the two boys. There was Mike and then there was the other one.
Oh, the Asian boy. His name was
I remember Mike and Tyler. I don't remember the other boy's name.
No, it was Mike, Tyler, and
why do I have to say Carl?
In the movie, they made one of the boys Asian. The ones who you can't remember. And then didn't they make one of the girls Asian too?
Yeah.
I can't remember her name.
I can't remember which one she was either. Eric.
Eric.
How do you pronounce? Is it AJHEE? How do I pronounce this? Because I need to shout you out because you've really been coming through in these comments.
Yes.
I don't want to jack up your name. Bye, Books and Big Hair.
Bye, India.
Bye.
I would like to introduce my idea that I talked about in our group chat, and none of them went for it.
I feel like you're setting us up by putting it on the chat or by putting it on here.
Okay, I won't say anything.
Like, you can say it. My answer is still no.
Hard pass.
Because I am not a writer. I'm not a
happy people. So, my proposal was that the girls and I should write a parody. I don't even want to call it a fan fiction because we're not fans of Twilight. We are, but we're not. We're like, we love to hate it. It's fun to hate it.
Yep.
So I proposed that we write a parody of Twilight with a whole, like, a cast made of people of color. I just wanted us to take all the tropes and turn it on its head, and we would write like each chapter and we would put it on Wattpad for you guys to read. I thought it would be fun, but they didn't want to do it.
Like I said, both of you have projects of writing that you can complete. Look at Troy.
Troy's like, bye. No.
Oh my God. But that's basically like, I'm not a writer. Like, you want me to draw some fanfic where everybody is Black? I could totally do that. But to write, no. I will get dragged for my poor writing ability. Like,
Oh my goodness.
I went into science.
Ooh, I had a comment that would give me so much trouble. I'm just gonna text it to y'all.
Oh, we want to.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna text it to y'all.
Apparently, in the comments, yes, please do. I'm currently writing a Wattpad bad boy book. Ironically, ooh,
I like it. The bad boys,
someone said I'll read it,
but kind of not. But I do.
I'm just saying, like, I'll happily give you some ideas, and you could write them.
I'm done.
But
Let's do it as a group.
I am not a writer at all.
Fine.
I want to be, but I don't have the time to devote to that.
It is very time consuming.
Yeah. I watch you guys' writing vlogs all the time, and I'm like, nope.
Troy, you are evil. I'll leave it at that. Do we have anything else to discuss in this live?
Oh, who's going to BookNet?
BookNet Fest.
Brittany, no matter how many times you try to say that, you get it wrong.
I get it wrong every single time.
It's okay. So
yeah. We're all gonna be there.
We're all gonna be at BookNet Fest, guys. It's going on in Orlando this year on in the first weekend of September. I want to say it's the 5th and the 6th, whatever that Friday and Saturday is. Huh?
6th and the 7th.
6th and the 7th. So the first weekend of September, Friday the 6th, Saturday the 7th at the Royal Caribe Hotel. Definitely come say hi if you guys are going to be there. It's going to be great. I will actually put a link to the website for BookNet Fest so you can see what the how much the tickets cost and stuff like that. And I would do that for those of you that might be interested, that want to travel. But I think it's great to support like our fellow booktubers that have started their own book convention. Is that the right word? Is it a book convention? Yeah.
I'm gonna call it a book con. It's a book con. That's what
okay.
Yeah.
So it was started by Marina's from Hey, My Name is Marina's and Sam from
Thoughts on Tones.
That is a tongue twister for me. Thoughts on Tones. Sam is like one of the OGs of BookTube in my mind.
Yep.
And Hey, My Name is Marina's makes great content. So I will definitely link all this stuff in the description, including my lip color for those that are interested. I'll try to keep up with all the links. But yeah, we're gonna be there. And come say hello. It'll be in September. We're really excited.
I am so glad we're going.
And we're meeting each other for the first time, even though Brittany and I live in Houston, so I don't really even know.
Yeah, y'all have no excuse.
I just want to point it out that we are actual real introverts. That's why we have me and Troy.
Oh.
It's now it's cool to be a nerd and cool to be introverted, but
I know.
they're not really nerds or introverts. Whereas I'm literally like, you are in Houston, but like, we have to do something?
Right.
There's a lot of pressure.
I want to stay in my house in my pajamas. So
I don't leave the area of Third Ward unless it is a must.
Right. And I don't go to the Third Ward unless I'm going for a specific reason as well.
I like how you put the in front of Third Ward.
I know. I have to say it like that because,
I still think that we should try to go to Harry Potter World.
Yeah. I think
my friend wants to go to Harry Potter World, so if we go, my birthday's on the Sunday, so it'll be like a birthday present to myself.
Yes.
We have to do more planning off live because I would be so excited.
I've never been. I want to go so bad.
Me either.
I lived in Florida, so I've been to Disney World multiple times. Well, also being in the military, we come back to do it too. And I've been to Universal. Well, I've been to Universal, but I've only been to one side of Harry Potter. I've only been in Diagon Alley. I've never actually gone to the other side to what is the name of the town in
Hogsmeade.
Yeah, I've never been on Hogsmeade's side, so I would totally be down to go.
Ooh. Yeah, Well, let's see. Ajay, that's just how I'm gonna pronounce your name. Says
that it's pronounced as Renee, like it's Ajay, like Renee.
Oh,
is that right?
Renee Ajay. Okay. Ajay, if y'all ever do want to read Twilight fanfics to refresh your mind on some good writing, check out C. Cooth on Wattpad. She's hella big and is so amazing. It makes Twilight something to read. Ooh, I might have to go do that.
I'm very intrigued.
That's my palette. from what I've just experienced. She says, I write some too, but go Hannah Montana on there, so it's not under my name. Facts.
Okay, so we have to search for you as Hannah Montana. Awesome.
No, I don't think that that's her name. She's just saying she goes Hannah Montana.
Yeah, like an alter ego.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, send us a message and let us know what your alter ego is.
Send us like a private message. Ooh, I'm curious.
I haven't read fanfic. I used to read fanfic a lot my senior year of high school and my freshman year of college. I read a lot of fanfic stuff, but I haven't read
I used to
in a while.
But I haven't in a long time.
Yeah.
I've literally never read fanfic.
Oh my gosh, you're missing out on some good.
Right?
Never. I missed that
good ideas.
whole phase of life.
Man, I'm trying to. I've read. Wow. I've read some crazy ones. Yeah. Yeah. Especially Star Wars related fanfic. Those are always very interesting.
The Harry Potter ones are so well written.
Yes. The Harry Potter ones are probably some of the best ones I've ever read. All those romances that people say they wish would have happened, they happen in the fanfics. Yeah. And you're like, wow, this could actually happen. All right.
Oh, we didn't do a formal announcement of our book of the month.
Oh, yeah. We have a book club, guys. I forgot.
Yeah. Besides our petty lives, we also do a book club.
Oh, my God.
I don't remember what I did with the book. I just picked it up from the library. It's Fire on High.
Fire on High.
By Elizabeth Acevedo. That is our June book of the month.
Yeah. Also, if you don't want to buy the book, it is available as an ebook on iCloud Library.
Ooh. And
the audiobook is available on Hoopla. You're welcome. I'm listening to it via audiobook because I find her voice super soothing and Elizabeth's voice is like the perfect voice to do an audiobook in my opinion. So
ooh, exciting.
At work and get my life.
And we will be doing a live on, what day did we decide on?
I think it's the 28th. No, the 23rd.
Was it the 23rd?
I think so.
Is that what's on the graphic?
Sunday the 23rd.
Let me go look at the announcement. Because it was the last Sunday of the month.
It says the 28th.
Ooh, did I mess up?
That's a Friday.
Yep, I messed up.
We can do the 28th.
Do I have anything to do? I mean, yeah, I don't mind it. Everybody else is cool with it.
Troy.
What?
Are you okay with Friday the 28th?
Yeah.
Okay, so our live is going to be on Friday the 28th, which actually works out better for me. In the evening. We don't know exactly what time, but it will not be late. It'll be like today, like 6 p.m. probably. Where we will be discussing this read. So you guys have from now until the 28th to read the book and to get it and all that good stuff. It's plenty of time. It's 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Now you just got to get out of this reading slump.
I've actually been doing really good with the reading this month. I almost stopped because of Twilight, but I'm pushing through now that that's over. And I feel like Elizabeth's books always put me in a really happy mood. So
yes.
I'm going to.
I've never read anything by her.
I'm telling you, you got to read. You got to listen to Poet X. If you've never read anything from Elizabeth Acevedo, get the audiobook of Poet X and get your life.
It's on my TBR.
Yeah. It's free on Hoopla, by the way.
I can't log into that. I can't find a library on there, like, whenever I try to pull it up.
That sucks.
Really? Because I think to do it, you have to search by county first.
I keep putting in our county, but it's not popping up. I don't know. I'm probably doing something wrong. I'll just text you.
Yes, I'll help you.
All right. I think we've come to the end of our live, guys.
Yup. It's been great. Thanks for joining us.
Wonderful.
See y'all on the 28th.
Yes, we will see you guys on the 28th. We will tell you exactly what time. I will try to remember to link everything in the description box. And we will catch you guys on the 28th.
Oh, the book again is The Fire on High.
Yes, Elizabeth Acevedo. Alrighty. Bye, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. Bye.